times 1,000. Hey YouTube, sorry about that. It's that time again for me to randomly make a video when I've been on hiatus for like 8 months. I decided to get back into Yu-Gi-Oh again, even though I kind of like left without saying that I was getting out of it, because I wasn't. I'm lazy and I don't really making videos sometimes. It was summer, and I actually did go to a locals, and I topped with a Monarch deck, which I'll be happy to show you guys the build later. I'm making this video because I was on Pojo and YouTube all day today, and I noticed that still there's zero originality in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think it's because people think that to have the good Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck, you have to have an expensive deck. Now, well, of course, most of the time, decks win, like, shown into regionals or nationals or worlds or YCS or anything. The decks are always, most of the time, expensive. But you don't have to spend a lot of money to have a good deck. Like, Frog Monarchs really isn't that expensive of a deck. It's actually pretty cheap, and that deck is good. Original, not so much anymore, now that more people have been playing it. But I love that my parents are like yelling. But anyways, there's like no originality at all in Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore. Well, I don't know if there really ever was. Well, in the very beginning, I think it was, but like now, it's just all about money, money, money. Especially now about pod duality, which is a spell card. You get to look at your top 3 cards in your deck, pick one, and shuffle the rest back into your deck. Then you can't special summon for the rest of that turn. And it's a good card. But everyone's like, oh yeah, I need pod duality, I need pod. And the thing is, it's just like, I don't understand why people spend so much money sometimes on Yu-Gi-Oh! I do spend a lot of money on Yu-Gi-Oh! When I do play, like I do. But sometimes the amount of money people spend on Yu-Gi-Oh! is almost ridiculous, especially on cards that you know that might not see the end of the tunnel, which means like they'll get banned next format, or they get limited, or they won't be good next format, or they just get reprinted. Like a lot of cards still, like Judgment Dragon and Crush Card and Dark Armed and all Mirror Force, you know, are reprinted, and Alert Darkness, all those cards, they get reprinted, and they eventually all cards, well, most cards get reprinted. And I just don't understand why people spend so much money sometimes on cards, because they think that getting expensive cards will make them good. Now, while, like I said, a lot of expensive, when people like win things, their decks usually are expensive. Just because you have an expensive deck doesn't mean you're gonna win. You have to know how to play that deck. The person that won those things won because they know their deck, and they know that you can't just go buy a $2,000 deck without even looking at it, sitting down and expecting to win that tournament or that regional or that national or wherever you are. You can't expect that, because you have to know your deck. Someone who has a $10 deck, $10 structure deck, against someone who has $1,000 deck. Let's say the person with the $1,000 deck, they don't know their deck, but the person with the $10 deck knows their deck. The person with the $10 deck is gonna win because they know their deck and they know the deck's weaknesses. The person with the $1,000 deck doesn't know shit. They don't know if they're gonna win or what they're like really good against, or what they're really bad against, or anything like that. You have to know your cards. So buying expensive cards, buying expensive decks, buying expensive whatever, isn't gonna make you a good duelist. Buying top of the line mats and buying all these nice sleeves, yeah, they'll make you look like you're pro. But when you sit down and you don't even know what a quick play spell is, or what it does, or that you don't discard the 2 other cards from pod duality, that shows that you don't know even how to play. That you don't know your deck, you don't know your stuff. Just because you have nice stuff or have nice cards doesn't mean you're going to be good or you're going to win. And I wish people to understand that. So when like these kids or like these people who just got into Yu-Gi-Oh see, oh well, they're winning their decks because their decks cost $3,000. Let me get a $3,000 deck so I can be as good as them. Those people know their decks. They spent time making their decks, sometimes originally because they make them their own. They don't net deck, you know. But it's like, I wish people just, like, everybody would understand that, because it's not always about the money. It's about knowing your cards, knowing your opponent's cards, and just knowing the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Not the bank or the teller bank or whatever the heck. You have to know your cards, just not know the money and know how much it costs. That's how you win Yu-Gi-Oh! Not having the most expensive deck at the tournament. You win because you know your deck, you know Yu-Gi-Oh! You know how to play, you know what does what, you know all this kind of stuff. So that's what I'll have to say about right now. Deck videos will be up later. Maybe a March 1st ban list prediction, leak, whatever I get. But that's all I have to say for right now. Don't spend your life allowance on Pod Gelati because all the pros have it and they're winning. Just because you have it doesn't mean you'll win too. So that's all I'm saying. Farmer out.